Okay, guys, let me know if you can hear me. I plugged back in. Sometimes my mic does stop working from moment to moment. What's up, Marco Belly? Thanks for coming through, brother. Let me just know if you guys can hear me. All right, cool, great, 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 perfect, 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 outstanding, outstanding. All right, so we're gonna get right to it. No guest tonight. This was kind of a last minute thing. I almost didn't even do it because it's really just I don't know. I kind of like just know this stuff, so I gotta sit here and look for this stuff, and I already know all this data, but I gotta show it to you guys, right? So I gotta go dig for it, and I really let all this stuff go, right? But I know where it is, I know it exists, so I'm going to give it to you guys straight and give it to you guys as is because it's important information. We need to know what's going on. So just let's get started with a disclaimer. The information displayed in this broadcast is known to cause increased amounts of FOMO. Wells only and his guests are not responsible for any losses you may accrue for having weak hands. Stake accordingly, friends. What's going on? Trust us. Thank you for coming through, brother. Let's see here. How Western economies work. A Western economy is one that functions based on a debt-based consumption system. The consumer is the engine of the economy. That's really it. And we'll talk about this for a second. And I know it's a very, very plain slide, and it's very plain for a reason. Because I'm going to really give you guys the bare bone facts of what's actually going on and how things actually work. And of course, there's going to be data and links to back it up, baby. So, it's going to be just another truth party as always. And yes, smash those likes because let me tell you guys what I've been doing before we even get into this cool stuff. I've been streaming with Hex Asians over there in Asia on Saturday and Sunday mornings. And the whole goal is to essentially get um, the word out, right? We want everybody to come get some Hex. So, I'm over there streaming, letting these people know what's up with Hex, showing them the charts, just doing the good stuff, right? Because this is what it's about. And people just really, really want to get in tune with what's going on, right? No matter where you're at in the world, you always want to find that ticket. Um, and that's an important thing, right? Like if my name is gonna call attention to the algorithms, then that's what needs to happen. So I stream with the Asians on Sunday and Mondays morning, right? But these are both mornings on the Eastern Standard Time, around 9. Today we started a little late, but typically the streams are at 9. And again, I'm just there showing my charts, doing the same thing I do here, and we're just having a nice conversation. And it's just about getting the Asian community aware of what's going on with Hex. So I just want to let you guys know that that's what's going on with that. So if you guys do have the time to tune in on Sunday and Monday mornings, please do, because again, it helps. It helps that people come in, and get that out there into the Asian world as much as possible, because we already know that side of the world, the internet is much more restricted than it is on the Western side. What's going on, homie? Mel Tony up in the joint. What's going on, bro? Um, and we just want to make sure we get the word out there for Hex and all of that. And that's really my mission, right? My mission is to get everybody in tune with Hex, because Hex is going to really provide the opportunity that we're all looking for at the end of the day. So, luckily that T-share rate goes up in such a way. What's going on, D? Welcome through. Welcome. Thanks for coming through, bro. And, we also just want to get the word out there, right? Like, I don't know if you guys know what happened back in the day with Bitcoin, but when Asia came through, when China and Korea and Japan started buying, and I was actually talking about this on the Hex Asian stream this morning. When they started, don't know if I was talking about it on the stream, but it's just what it's going to be. When that part of the world came online, I mean, prices exploded. That's when we hit double digits. I think we went from 8 to 30 when Asia came on, if I remember correctly. Either 1 to 8 or 8 to 30, something like that. But long story short, um, it's important to get the word out there. And, while it might sound like it's being selfish, the reality is that while we pump our own bags, we're doing the good Lord's work. And I'm not even religious, but we're doing the right thing, right? And that's what matters. And that's what matters. Doing the right thing at the end of the day is what matters. And giving people the option to do what they want is what everybody deserves, right? And that's really what we're here for. We're here to spread freedom, and economic freedom is the conduit to actual freedom. So when you're able to put people onto that path, they're gonna appreciate that. Oh, Joe Exotic, what's going on, brother? Thank you for coming through. Um, that's what it's about, right? So I go on the streams wherever I can. We're gonna try to get a Spanish stream going. I've already been in touch with some people, and we're really just trying to get this out there, man, because it's about helping people understand what's going on. And Hex is the perfect tool for that. It really is. So we're going to use that accordingly. And it's just about getting the right information out there and getting this party started, because it's time for us to live. It's not, it's time to end their party, and it's time for us to have our party. So that's really the mission. That's the Hex mission. And that's what I'm trying to do. And then I'm hoping that my work can really come across that way. And let's get into it. So how Western economies work. A Western economy is one that functions on a debt-based consumption system, right? This is what drives it. Credit, fiat, right? Everything is an IOU. Everything is dependent on you having to pay it later. What's going on, Rob? Thanks for coming through, brother. Oh, I'm sorry, man. I don't. Where do you live? I try to do them earlier, bro, but I stream so much all over that the sleep schedule is crazy right now. So I literally took like a 3-hour nap in the middle of the day, and I did want to do this earlier, but the body just wasn't having it, man. Just wasn't having it. This is harder work than you think. This is harder than my actual job. Oh, you're in the UK. Shoot. Yeah, it's like what? 1 over there right now. Jeez. What's going on, Lowland? Thanks for coming through, bro. It's a pleasure to have you guys all tuned in, man. Thank you. So let me just start a little bit again. A Western economy is one that functions based on a debt-based consumption system. So it's one that we currently know. It's the only one that most of us know. It's the only one that we think that we can imagine, right? We can't imagine an economy where everything that happens is actually not based on debt. I mean, it's almost unimaginable because the world has functioned on debt for so long that it's almost like, well, how can you make debt come out of nowhere? What's going on? Pay me a Hex. Thanks for coming through, brother. Oh, and Lowland is out in Amsterdam. Okay, so I really need to start doing these things earlier. All right, guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to start doing these streams earlier. I didn't know I had that much. Like, I just didn't know people stayed up to watch them, to be honest. So it's humbling, and I will adjust fire in accordance with that need. So yeah. So no matter where you look in the world, everything. What's going on, Blaze? Thank you for coming through. Oh, perfect way to start your day, right? Very nice, very nice. Good morning out there to my Australian homies. I'm gonna be doing. I don't know the difference between. I guess I never heard of this time zone, Pacific Daylight time. Apparently it's like 2 hours or 3 hours behind the US or something. I don't think that's Pacific Standard Time. It seems like it. I don't know. I'm confused. Anyway, I'm going to be streaming with the Aussies on the 5th at 11 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. Blue Bomb, Unwrecked, all of those folks. It's going to be a very, very good stream because they're going to pepper me with so many questions I can already imagine, because those guys, They've been waiting to pepper me with questions. They all anytime we're in the Telegram chat, Rec always lays some good questions on me. So definitely tune into that one right now. To tune into that one on the 5th at 11 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. It's gonna be good. I'll be sure to share that link on Twitter and in the Telegram chats as soon as it comes live. Yeah. So just a little update at that. So see, this is my thing, right? I'm really trying to get the algorithms to pick up whatever. Like if they're gonna click on people are gonna watch my crap, then hey, they need to watch it wherever it's at, right? And that's the whole goal. The whole goal is to get Hex out there and to get it out there in such a way that when these people are selling millions of Hex at a time, like we've been seeing over the past 2 weeks, it becomes irrelevant. I mean, it's a beautiful thing because now you guys clearly see what I've been saying this whole time. Since my first stream, I've been explaining this. And now it's plain to see all these millions of Hex being sold, 6-figure clips, 5-figure clips in dollar terms. Irrelevant. Irrelevant. Wait, you guys don't hear me? Hold on, what's going on? Okay. Wanted to make sure. It seemed like somebody said I was sleeping. All right, cool. All right, perfect. Thank you guys. Just wanted to make sure. Cool. So yeah, everything is tied to what we do, the consumer. That's how the economy works. If it wouldn't be for the consumer, what would governments use to wield their power? They would have nothing, literally, because they wouldn't be able to extort us for anything. And the reality is, what's going on, Hex Cuddy? What's going on, Sig Hex? Thanks for coming through, guys. Hexboard Crypto, what's going on, brother? Thank you for coming through. Thank you to everybody that's tuned in right now. We're only 16 minutes in. I'm still on the first slide. I haven't really gone into anything. Just so you guys know, been kind of let people, come in, and I'm kind of starting over and over. And I'm just gonna break stuff down real simple. Economies work in a very simple way. We have to understand or look at it as it is, right? We all live on one planet, right? And most economies, whether Western or not, really do function in a similar way. The difference is that in the non-Western economies, consumption isn't really the driver. It's just government, right? So that's really what happens when economies fail. That's the reality. It might not be framed that way, but that's what it really is. Because when people are not allowed to do what they do, right? When they have to be submissive to random folks, that's a problem, right? Because what ends up happening is that you lose the optionality of choice. You lose the optionality of having to respect opportunity costs. You lose the optionality of moral hazard and ethics, and so many things just go by the wayside. And we're seeing it in real time worldwide. And I'm going to go into it, and it's going to be just great because this is really it, right? Every economy is based on what people consume and what is it. I mean, no matter whether it's a government or a private entity, right? Whether it's a person or a business, every economy is driven upon what is consumed. No sound here. Oh man. Okay. So I'm gonna unplug and plug back in. Okay. It seems like pay me Hex is the odd person out. So I guess check your sound, man. I don't know, because I already unplugged. Yeah, I already unplugged and plugged back in. So I'm not gonna do that again. I guess everybody's hearing me. So maybe do a refresh, pay me Hex, because it's possible that might be the issue. Let me see. Yeah, everything looks good over here. So yeah, just refresh. Pay me Hex. Oh, okay. Cool. Okay, great. So yeah, guys, let me take a little water break. Excuse me, because it's just me yapping away here. Thank you, guys. So yeah. Um, so every economy grows to a certain degree based on what is actually spent as a function of what is actually produced, right? But the reality is that it's really like the T-share rate, right? The T-share rate exists in dollar terms, and it exists with respect to hex, right? But that rate doesn't come from out of thin air. It comes from the T-share dollar value divided by the hex dollar value. Okay, so it's kind of like the same thing in a Western economy, except for that it's in reverse. Because here, money is created out of people wanting things. And this is what people don't understand. We give the power by wanting to consume shiny crap that we don't need. And this is what people need to understand, right? What? No, I'm not seeing that on this chart. This is crazy. You guys got to make sure I can focus on these streams because this is insane. I only have, oh, whoa, I got 1.947 on mine. Wow. That's the whale pump, I guess. The whale's only pump. Hold on. Let me make some moderators in here. I know some people ask me to be moderator. Where you at, Brent? There you go. Boom. So yeah, you know, it's a reality of the situation. We need to realize that the power is in our pockets. And we definitely have the power. If you don't look like, let's say, for example, what happened in 2020. They literally shut the economy down by doing what? Saying you could no longer do the things you were used to doing. Here's a little something that I will tell you guys that I probably never share publicly. When I was a kid, I used to always ask myself, why do people go to work every day? Because this is why these people have power. Now, I was a kid and I understood this. And I used to, as I got older and I got more rebellious, I would just be like, man, all we have to do is just not go to work for one whole day and show them who has the power. And what did they fucking do? They went ahead and read my mind and shut the economy down all of 2020 through 2021 in most places. I mean, it's crazy. Wow, T-shares 330. Holy show. Wow. She is right. That's crazy, guys, especially if you got more than one T-share, right? Like, wow. Wow, wow, wow. Jesus. We're going to be a very fortunate class of people, folks. Very fortunate class of people because we're about to be doubled up in T-shares, right? Like with this fork, we're all going to be very, very well off. And here's the thing, what you guys might not know, and I've said this before, but let me just reiterate because I really try not to talk about the fork because it's just not worth talking about. It's gonna come out when it comes out, and it's gonna be good either way because here's what you need to know: at the bare minimum, our net worth is gonna be multiplied by 2, bare minimum. That's all you really need to know about the ETH fork. Everything else is an added bonus. So just enjoy the show, enjoy the ride, and it's going to be a good time, guys. Richard Hart has not let us down yet. Why would he let us down with a fork? Like, are you kidding me? You got to realize that, yeah, we definitely are getting double our coins, bro. Definitely are. You guys got to understand, a fork is literally a copy-paste exercise. So think about yourself being in a Word document and you wanting to use a word elsewhere in that document and you don't want to type it. It's literally the same thing. You're going to take that word, highlight it, copy it, and paste it elsewhere. Simple as that. And this is basically the same thing here, except, of course, it's not that simple. But the layman description of the exercise is just that, a copy-paste exercise. Except for that, there's a lot more externalities involved, right? Because it's not really simple code. It's solidity, and you guys hear Richard talk about it all the time. Software is not easy. I'm shocked that he's talking about a month time frame, and hey, If he can do it, then clearly he knows what the fuck he's doing. And in fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he already had it baking in the background, because he probably knew that these cocksuckers were just not going to do the right thing. And the right thing is making this an affordable situation for retail, not feeding them to death. Like, it's crazy. What these people are doing is crazy. I mean, and now they're going to make it harder for people that don't want to be actively trading to make money by making the cost of participating 2.7 times more expensive. Now, what does that mean? The S-load cost is going to increase 2.7 times. So I'm guessing that when it comes time to end the stake, it's going to cost you 2.7 times what it normally would, which is already going to be more expensive, because if you're doing a 5, right, it's going to have to tabulate all of that, all of those days when it comes to end the stake, right? So all of that computation is going to cost you money. So what's going on? Give me liberty. Shout out, brother. You can join if you want. I can send you a link. Let me know. Not a problem, brother, because this is right up your alley as well. When am I having you on the stream, man? Let me know. Send you a link anytime, brother. Yeah, we're about to get our bags doubled. It's gonna be a fun time for us as Hexicans, and we just need to sit back and enjoy the ride. It's gonna be a beautiful thing, man. A beautiful thing. So you know, it's a great time to be alive, especially if you're in Hex, because there's a lot of things changing that are not visible, but they're changing. And I say that with confidence, because trust me, I'm not the only person that is upset with what's been going on this planet. And luckily, there have been people that have been involved in taking care of business. So, you know, we're going to be good. You just got to be patient and understand that there's a lot of sleeping zombies out there. And we don't really want a Walking Dead scenario, right? Wow. So T-share update, T-share rate update is a 6x jump. We literally went from 7 to 9 to 11 to 15. I'm not sure what it's going to look like tomorrow, but you know, it's going to be, it's just going to keep going up. It's crazy. So you can say the same. So yeah, look, I don't know exactly what it's going to be, right, in terms of price when it hits the chain, when the chain goes live, but you can expect it to be some type of situation where it's going to be an equivalent value, and maybe not at first, but eventually, yeah, because you have to realize that the whole reason of this exercise that Richard is going through is, oh, okay, 7 hex jump is 17,229 hex for T-share. So there you go. So what you have to understand, and we got so many people watching now, crazy. Thank you guys for tuning in. And what you have to understand is that when you are, how can I say this? When you're copying a system state from one chain to another, all you're doing is recreating that chain, right? So what Richard is doing is he's recreating that ERC20 chain and gas optimizing that, but probably a million more other things that we can't even imagine, because this is Richard Hart, right? So understand that what's about to happen is just greatness in the making, and you can't even imagine what's going to come along with it, because what's ultimately happened is that these people have poked the bear that's been asleep and letting them do their thing, right? Like, Richard Hart literally sat around for a whole year plus and waited for them to do the right thing, and they opted not to. So he's been left with no other option but to take matters into his own hands. And we're now about to benefit from people's stupidity. Once again, the game theory always works, guys. It's just what is going to be. Just what is going to be. So, you know, it's just a beautiful thing, man. It's just a beautiful thing. And we're fortunate to be early adopters in something that this gentleman took time out of his life to do, because he clearly didn't have to. And this is what people don't understand. So it's literally the best scam in history. Best scam ever. You know, it's amazing. It's amazing. So back to this. Um, this we have a debt-based economy. This is what we live off of. The more we buy, the more we obey the commands of the random people, the worse off we ultimately are. And that's what I'm going to show you guys, because this is what ultimately happens over time, right? The more you buy, the more they tax you. The more money they have, the more reach they have. Because you have to understand, if you continue to just buy things you do not need, just to buy things, that's a problem, right? We all like nice things. I like nice things too. So I'm not saying don't buy things. That's ridiculous. Uh, my point is, buy what you need and buy what you want, but don't buy things just to buy them, right? There's a difference. And you have to have the morality, right, and the ethics to understand how things are made in the first place, right? Like, people in the Western world really don't know where their products come from. And, the average Joe, they just don't know. They don't know that a diamond comes from blood money, right? Like, they don't know all of these things that they salivate over come from other regions of the world that are not like America, that they're third world countries by definition. And they are literally at the beck and call of the World Bank or the IMF or the US in a debt slave capacity. Like, they don't understand that, right? Because you have to understand how the system works at a very high level to be able to grasp that. And the average person has not the time nor the inclination to make that effort. And I get that. And that's why we do these streams. You know what I mean? And that's what it's all about. And the reality is that there's obviously ways to make money without destroying the world, right? Like, people are doing it all over the world. Why is it that we have to have this system that's called capitalism that really isn't capitalism, FYI? And maybe I should do a stream on that so we can break that down, because clearly people have that fucked up. So yeah, I'll do that, actually. Yeah, fuck that. I'm going to fucking do that. I'm going to fucking explain capitalism, socialism, Marxism, fascism, blah, 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 all the isms you motherfucking want. Because the reality is they all suck as long as somebody's in charge. And this is what people don't get. The world needs to move in a direction where crypto is the use case. And it's the only case. And everything else is fucking tagging along, because we can clearly do our own thing. We in the Hexagon community have been doing it for a long time, for a year now. I literally came out of nowhere and people fucking listen to me for no reason. Just because I speak sense. I'm not taking charge of anything. I'm not in charge of anything. And the fucking thing is that everybody just agrees with what I'm saying. It's not like we're not all thinking the same thing. So everybody has the same voice. Everybody has a voice, right? I just don't give a fuck, and I will say what I want to say. So, when you have somebody that isn't afraid to speak up, fucking back them. Don't just stay there quiet and fucking nod your head. Be like, fuck yeah, that's fucking right. Tacit approval is a dangerous thing, and we've talked about tacit approval before. I'll harp on that a little bit. Tacit approval is when you say nothing even though you disagree with something. That's saying it's okay because they're going to do it. They're going to say it's okay, and they're going to do it, and they're not going to care. And this is what we've experienced in our lifetime, especially if you're in your 30s and 40s, 50s, 60s, right? Like, and it's worse for the younger people now. Like, they don't even know that they're fucking idiots. Like, this is what people have to understand. They've been brought up to think that what we know is retarded is normal. And it's on you to educate the youth. It really, really is. Because the system isn't going to do it. It's there to not. It's there to make them engines to their economy. That's literally what it's all about, guys. It's not about anything else. And it's very important that we understand that, because, the children are literally the future. I did not believe things could get worse than they were from when I was a kid. And I grew up in the crack era. And let me fucking tell you, they're worse now. And I don't think you understand why. Because the crack era was very localized. It only affected certain regions of the world. This is affecting the whole world. So this is worse by 1,000,000 times. And this is what people have to understand. not understanding how you make money, how your money is made, where your money goes. All of these things are what is fucking you over, and your friends and your mom and your dad and everybody that you know. That's what's fucking them over. So this is important information. This information is more important than you fucking going to work, because you don't even fucking know why you're going to work. You're just fucking going to work. And that's the fucking problem. You don't have power when you don't realize you have the power. You can go to work, but you have to realize that what you're doing is placing yourself in a position to get out of that hole, right? If you've been an addict, if you found yourself in a depressive state, if you found yourself in a place where you're not used to being, you know exactly what the fuck I'm talking about, because you have to dig yourself out of that hole. And the problem that people don't realize is that we are born into this economic state that's depressed, because our whole main objective as human beings from birth is to become consumers and become part of the economic engine. This is what it's about. Okay? This is what people need to understand. This is why I make these streams, because Hex allows us to escape this bullshit. Because at the end of the day, everybody that participates in markets, whether it's crypto or legacy finance, they're looking to escape this bullshit. That's exactly what it's about. That's exactly what it's about. It's not about anything else. So I really want people to understand that, because your money is your power. If you are the person that goes and applies for a job and you opt to pay taxes, that's on your back. That's on nobody else's back. Literally. If you read the tax code, you will come to understand that. There's a lot of things that happen in this world that you are tricked into believing are legally right, and they're not. And this is why you have to read, you have to educate yourself, you have to know, right? It's one thing for people to tell you. I can sit here and tell you all day, but if you don't go and see it for yourself and be like, whoa, this motherfucker isn't lying. That's all. That is all I need. I do not need anything else. All I need for you guys is to come here, fucking catch 2 minutes of whatever it is I'm talking about, go confirm that I'm not lying, and then go down that rabbit hole, because that's all you need. You don't even need to watch any more of my streams, because once you see I'm not lying about one thing, everything else is going to fall into place, because that's the way it works. Everything is a lie, literally. And it's important that we understand this. Oh, yeah, Noam Chomsky is very good, but understand he is very limited. He still believes in centralized authority and shit like that. So I'm a Chomsky fan, but he does have his limitations as well. But just understand that. We have to realize that we are at a point in time where it's pretty fucking clear that centralized authority does not work. There is no such thing as a benevolent leader. It just doesn't exist. And we have one, and he doesn't opt to be one, right? Like, he just is one. And that's the way it should work, guys. If somebody has the ability to do something and it's for the betterment of society, then that's the motherfucker that should just be doing it. It should not be some random motherfucker that's related to some other motherfucker just because this other motherfucker was sitting in some chair. Like, that literally makes zero sense. And I'm pretty sure we're all where we're at. Like, well, I'm pretty sure everybody gets that to some degree. Like, it makes zero sense. Zero sense, right? Like, like, I don't even know what else to say to that. Let me take a comment break, see what my homies are saying. Yeah, capitalist communism is right to a certain extent. Yes, sir. I mean, in New York, you can't go sell a pair of fucking socks on any corner without having cops harass you. So yeah, that's capitalist communism for sure. Every country in the world has huge debt. Once you start the printing presses, you cannot turn them off. That's a fact. That is a fact. Ink is the drug, and this is what people have to understand, right? We allow these people to do more than they should be able to do. And this is the problem, right? And the bigger issue really is that we're taught to think that Our whole mission in life is to go to school, get a job, and retire. No, it's not. And make sure you explain to your kids that it's not, because they're going to have miserable lives, just like you did until you found crypto, until you found Hex. Now, it's important that you understand that, because mental health is the key. And if you haven't watched any Matty Allen streams, I highly recommend you do, because they're very important. Mental health is the ticket to life. Trust me. This is coming from a guy where people now come and watch his streams, and he didn't even talk to anybody fucking 3 months ago, 4 months ago. And let me tell you guys something, just from a personal perspective. I was almost homeless and on the street 5 years ago by choice, because I just didn't want anything to do with anything. Like, mental health is a struggle. It's not a joke. It's important. Amen to ethical production, brother. So many people are blind to this. Yes. And here's the thing. The problem with a lot of things is the fact that they're framed, right? Like this. And while it's true, there is no reason to frame anything, right? It should really be like, this is the whole issue with society. They don't realize that their mind is manipulated with words. Like, people use words in a certain way. And if you pay attention, this is why I'm very big on etymology. And you'll see some of my tweets are very, very, very heavy on that. And I don't play. Like, you will never hear me use the word nice correctly, or in the way that other people use it, because if you know what that word means, you would not use it in the way that you do. Look it up if you don't. Etymology gives you the real root meaning of every word. That's what words really mean. No matter what they mean today, if it's different than the actual meaning based on etymology, well, here's a tip. It's motherfucking wrong. Hate to burst your bubble, but that's a fact of life. You cannot change the definition of a word just because you feel like it, or just because some random person says it should be changed. Because here's something that you should know. Human language has been around way longer than some motherfucking American schmuck. So take that and smoke it. And we'll keep it moving. Yes, Hex is fundamentally fun. That is very true. Money is created as debt. Can't change that. Well, it's been changed. We now have Hex. So that's clearly not true to a certain extent. The problem is that people don't understand what money is. Money is not created as debt. Fiat is created as debt. So it's important we understand the distinction. Pretty sure I went over this in one of my first streams. So definitely go back and watch that if you missed it. Money is not debt. Capitalist communism, as my boy Michael Hex said earlier, a whole shit show. It really is a whole shit show. I mean, it's so crazy. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. How is it that this is a capitalist country, but you need a business license, you need a license for this, you need a license for that, you need a license for everything? And then you got all these licenses, and then you got other motherfuckers with these same licenses, and it's like, how the fuck they even get it? Driving comes to mind. Every type of licensing is just like that. You just got to pay for it. So clearly it's just a fucking racket. Clearly. That's called mafia moves. It's called extortion. That's what that's called. That's how government works. And we're going to get into that shortly. Let's see. Teach them well and lead the way. Show them the beauty they possess inside. It's all good, Joe. He wrote piss is inside. It's all good, brother. We know what you meant. X is the use case for crypto. That's right. Extraordinary. That's right. Goddamn right. Yeah, smash those like, guys. Let's get this damn thing out there. Yeah, thank you, Joe. I'm really trying to help Hex really get out there as much as possible. And if my influence is value, well, let's fucking use it, baby. I'm trying to pump everybody's bags. You know, we all win from everything that we do that adds value to the ecosystem. We all win from that, and that's what we have to realize. I don't feel like it's anything about me. It's not about me. It's about helping people understand that they need Hex, because Hex doesn't need them. You know what I mean? Like, Hex doesn't need anybody. It's there. It exists. And it's always going to. Nothing is going to change that. Smoke break. You guys got to understand that. Nothing is going to change that. We know Hex exists. We're not going to stop buying it. I know I'm never going to stop buying. Like, why would I? It's crazy. It makes no sense. Why would I stop buying something that pays me money without doing anything? Like, what? What? This is crazy, man. Yeah, I have young kids also, and I've never stated this publicly, but I have. It's important to make sure that you always tell them the truth. Eventually, they will see it, because while they might not see it now, you have to understand that external influences are the problem, um, and that's what you have to protect them from. That's why keeping them away from the stupid box is critical. Helping them see that you like to educate. Like, look, when I'm waking up, my kids see me. They see what I'm doing. They see what I'm doing. They see I'm educating myself. And whatever that ends up being, that's what it is. Whether it's coding or whatever, reading, doing a chart, whatever it is, it's literally me educating myself, and my kids see that. So that's the impression you have to make. People, kids always want to follow somebody. They don't know what they're doing. They're taking cues. That's how we learn as humans. Monkey see, monkey do is real. That's very real. So make sure you take that to the bank. Yeah, I do try to speak from the heart, because life is not easy. Read some Noam Chomsky, but understand his limitations. Understand his limitations. Ayn Rand also, Tom Clancy Cash War. I've never actually read that book, Chomsky Class War. I've never actually read that book. I just know of him. I know his work. I understand what he's talking about. Ayn Rand also, understand her limitations. There's just a whole lot of people out there. You know what I mean? Whole lot of people. Chomsky raced me. That was funny. Yeah, exactly. You try to sell a cigarette out of your pack, you might lose your life. That's very right. That's very right. And I don't know where you live, David, but it's very much so the case in New York. Very much so the case in New York. They don't play out here. They want all them tax dollars. Government wants every single dime. And that's where we're at in life, right? It's very important that people understand that. Very important. Let's see. Let's see. It's the Club with Fam. All right, cool, brother. Appreciate that, man. Have a good time. Give me liberty. Sorry for getting back to you later on that. Hope you have a good time out tonight. That's right, Mel. Tony is all about the taxes, man. That's what it always is. It's like being a part of a gang or the mob. You do the work and you give them your cut, right? Like, you got to give them what you owe, what they owe you. Like, whatever cut you're gonna get, that's all you're gonna get. They're gonna keep theirs, right? And you always got to pay your fee for being part of the gang and being exposed to that work. And like, I get that from a gang perspective, but from a government perspective, it's completely different, right? We're the ones adding value by our own merit. Nobody is out here, um, just trying to skim motherfuckers. Like, niggas, people out here adding value. You get what I'm saying? So it's entirely backwards. Hold on, guys. Sorry, guys. Sirens. I live in a very busy area. But yeah, so it's very important to understand that, right? It's very important to understand where you sit in the economic engine. Very important. Um, yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is the problem, right? We are literally here now, in my opinion. If anybody that wears a mask outside by choice, that's already what they're doing. They're already letting the government dictate what they should be wearing on their person. Now, I was in the military. Um, that was one thing then. This is something completely different, and it's out of bounds, right? But this is where we're at, and this is what we have to understand, right? Like, it's already bad enough they oppress us economically. This is just funny at this point, and I don't participate in it. It's fucking crazy talk. I don't participate in that, so whatever. Um, let's see what other chats. Exactly. And here's the funny thing, right? We all know about all the people that we know now, but here's the thing: there's a lot of people in the Hex community that choose not to come out and be public to any capacity because they don't want to deal with it, and rightfully so. It's a pain in the ass. I don't like streaming all the time, but I do it because I know it adds value to the system, and that's what it's about. So Whether you think you have something to say or not, I recommend that you do whatever you think makes sense for you, whether it be TikTok, Twitter, whatever, YouTube, and do whatever you gotta do and add value that way. Like, you know, it's look at me. Like I'm a perfect cautionary tale. I literally intended to do one video. I don't even know how many videos I'm doing at this point. I've done, let's see. Maybe I can count them because it's just crazy. Like, I didn't expect to do more than one video. Like, you guys really need to understand that this is the reality of life, right? Like, I don't go into all this crap on a tangent for the hell of it. Like, I'm trying to make a very important point. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12. And with this one, it's going to be 13. So 13 plus 4 is 17 total, not including all the streams I've done elsewhere. Out of nowhere, out of just one video that I intended to do. So everybody has a potential to be a leader. It just depends on what you intend to do with the knowledge that you have at hand. That's really all it is. Because if I could do it, anybody can do it. I'm not special. I knew something and I decided to share it. We all know something and we can all share it. So it just depends on what you want to share. That's literally it. Every time I hear this, I laugh because the problem isn't that. The problem is that thought process. Taxes are not needed. What we need is to be able to come together and come to conclusive agreements that work for everybody. And we need to be able to respect everybody's space and decision-making process. Look, guys, when we hop in that Telegram chat and we start arguments, I just want you guys to know that that shit shouldn't even be happening. That chat is strictly for Hex talk only. But the problem is that Hex brings us to everything else. This is why we're having this stream right now, right? And this is why we're talking about random stuff. At least it seems like random stuff, but it's not random because it's really tied. Sorry, guys. Disconnected my mic there. um, so, it's important to understand that, like, when we get in these chats and we have these disagreements and we can come to an understanding, clearly that means we're capable of it without third-party intervention. Hint, hint. Why can't we not do this on a grander scale? Because here's the reality, right? There are people that are just better than others at certain things, and we just need to learn to be okay with that. We can't all be equal in every aspect of life. That's just not realistic. So if somebody's better than me at math, guess what? I'm gonna get the fuck out the way gracefully and let them excel. Why would I stop them? Like, why? That doesn't even make any sense. I mean, clearly, I understand that's non-egotistical, and most people are, but that's beside the point. If we can alter the mind state of society to understand that there is a better way, I'm pretty sure they would see it, right? Bala, I'm not even going to get into that because it's not even worth discussing. I'm not even going to get into that. Yeah. This happens all the time. That's not a joke. Yeah, it happens all the time. New York is savage. That's why I don't give a fuck. I talk how I talk because that's how you got to be out here. If you're not savage, they're gonna fucking eat you alive. Period. Please do, Limon Ortega. We need it. We need it. Thank you. Oh, word. You remember that? Yeah, that shit was an epic fail, bro. That shit was an epic fail. No, the military will not turn on us. I can guarantee you of that. Will a faction proclaiming to be the military turn on us? Sure, that's possible, but you have to understand what's happening, right? You have to understand that what you see on TV is not going to be real. Turn off the stupid box. If you don't see it happening outside your door, it's not happening. That's a fact. Okay? That's a fact. Shout out to Bala. He funny as hell. Funny as hell. When Giuliani got rid of the squiggle guys with the Los Angeles city, they literally disappeared. Yo, yeah, those cats were annoying, but they're back now. I don't know if you've noticed. They're back now. They're back now. So I don't know about that. So we're gonna keep it moving, guys. We're gonna get into the data. We're gonna get into the economics. I wanted to tie all of these realities into what's actually happening, right? Because all of those points that we hit, right? Adding value to an economic system. Look at me. I came out of nowhere and I'm adding value to your guys' bags just by speaking the facts. I'm not saying anything you guys didn't already know. I'm just relaying it in a certain way. That's literally it. So I'm not a special case. I'm just bringing what I have to the table. And that's all, right? And yeah, Rubber Dub Pub, the dogma box is right. And you can't be tied to a dogma. Like, you can't stick to an ideology. And I will always say that until I die. There are certain ideas that work. There are certain ideas that don't. And it's all about the context, guys. Context is key. It's just like people have always told me, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And I hear it. I hear that. But sometimes you have to listen to the context in which something is being said. Because if you're missing it, it's being highlighted for a reason. It's not so for you can get offensive. Like, what I've noticed about people is that they're too busy being in their emotions instead of actually paying attention to what's being said. So if you don't speak kindly, they're going to hear you how they're feeling. That's what's actually happening. In case you don't realize that that's what you're doing, yeah, that's what you're doing. So I hope you understand that. Yeah, smoke break. But yeah, so we're gonna get into this because it's very important we understand this. This is critical, 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 critical. So this is the distribution of economic sectors in the U.S. from 2000 to 2017. Now, why am I showing you guys this? So what you guys have to understand is that services is basically everything, right? Everything that we know is services. Think about it. Agriculture is what? Food. Industry is what? What produces shit that services uses. That's literally what industry is. Manufacturing, stuff like that. That's what that is. Um, and you can't have that. And yeah, that's right, Brand. You can't want to believe. You have to see what's true. You can't sit here and pretend that it's all gonna be okay and kumbaya, and all that shit. Like, yo, no, this is what got us here. The boomers excelled at proclaiming that that's how it works, and this is what got us here to this trash of a society that we have now, which was initiated by them in their free love movement, quote unquote. Which we could get into that at some other point in time in a private chat. I'm not going to discuss that publicly, but that was clearly all manipulated bullshit because that's the same class of people that are telling us that vaccine passports are okay. Go suck a dick. I don't think so. So, you have to really understand the big picture, no matter how small you think you are, because it affects you. Trust me. I try to relay this information, but people don't want to believe me in real life. People don't want to believe me, but trust me. It's the fact of the matter. Everything they do at a big level, it will impact you. Look at this now. 2020 is a perfect example of that. So don't continue to lie to yourself. So this is literally showing how much we continue, like how much our economy has become financialized over time, right? Like agriculture 100 years ago made up 90% of this, right? And I wish I would have taken a screenshot of this, but I just didn't care to. I really just wanted to talk about right now. But yeah, it's important to understand that this is a function of what we consume. The services industry is literally services, what's provided to you as a consumer, right? Retail shops, restaurants, all these funky things, right? The businesses that sell to these businesses, those are services, right? So all of those things cascade into less and less agriculture, less and less industry. Because what you're doing now is you're tipping the economic scale in one direction, right? And you're saying this economic activity is more important This economic activity is more important than these economic activities. We don't need to grow our own food. We don't need to make our own tools to grow our own food. We don't need to make our own tools to print our own homes, to make our own 3D printers, to make our own 3D whatever, to make our own cars, to make our own whatever. Whatever you want to call it. Our own computers, our own sneakers, our own clothing, whatever. Right? Our own beef. Right? Like a lot of the stuff we consume here, if you don't know where you're getting it from, is imported. And you don't even know that. Right? Fruit, right? Like agriculture. Like all of that has been exported out of America. Right? Why? We got tons of land that is not used here. 80% of the population is living in cities. Where the fuck is the rest of the population? Good question, right? Like, and these are all things we have to take into account, man. Like, this is all reality, right? This is literally what's happening. We're allowing ourselves to be enslaved by a system of consumption. And this is what the gray is highlighting. This is what the gray is highlighting. And I'm not going to sit here and say I don't buy stuff because I do. But you have to remember, you need to buy what you need and what you want, nothing more. You really don't need 20 cars unless you need them for a particular reason. And odds are, if you need 20 cars, you're not going to need 100 of anything else or 20 of anything else. You know what I mean? Yeah, actually, you should start a farm if you can. Yeah. I plan to start growing my own food in my own apartment. Why not? It's something that we can do, and it's doable. Why not? Why would you rely on others? Like we've already seen what comes from that. We've seen what comes from that. And it might sound extreme, but I have the space, so why not? Why not? But yes, we're going to the next slide. It's just this is what we need to understand, right? Like this is a function of us and how we spend our money. Seriously. So this is any economy. This is literally how most debt-based consumption economies work. Private sector is 70% of GDP. Public sector is 30% of GDP. I didn't detail them, but this is basically what it is. 70 and 30%. That's it. This is it. So what am I trying to show here? Now, support and we understand how economies are structured. And I said I was going to update my charts and all that, but I got carried away talking. So let me get back to that. Because this is important information. And if I miss a chat of yours, I'm going to minimize my window. But I need to update these charts. And I'm sorry, but I forgot because I got carried away with the economic stuff because it's so important to me. So important to me. And this is stuff that we really need to understand, guys. It's very, very important stuff. And it's just what we need to know in order to survive and be better in the long term, right? And this is what it's all about. This is all about becoming economically free and being free to choose whatever you want to do in life, right? And that's what it's all about. We're all chasing the same mission. Whether we realize it or not is another story, but we're all chasing the same mission. It's not any different, trust me. And it just takes some maturity to realize that. And I'll give a great example. Coworker of mine at work, we used to not get along worth a fuck. Like, could not stand each other, and there was nothing you could say to me, nothing you could say to her to change that. Like, I really thought this person was going to be my arch enemy for the rest of my life, and it just did not turn out that way. Because the reality is that when you're wrong, you just have to admit you're wrong. And I'm that kind of person. I don't mind being wrong, and that's okay. I don't know everything. I know most people are not like that, but that's how you have to be when you're an adult because you don't know everything, and that's okay. It's not the end of the world. It's perfectly okay. It's not, it's okay. It's not going to be the end of the world if you do not know everything. And it's very important that we as humans and adults understand that because we can't control everything that we think we know or don't know. We just can't. And that's important to understand. Let me see. All right. So this data is being updated. Okay. So now I'm just updating charts. So, that's just really what I want to share, right? Because that's very important. Now let me try to get some data labels on here. because I should have at least done that, right? So you guys can at least see what the hell I'm talking about. So sorry about that, guys, but give me a second. Let me just fix this a little bit. But yeah, this is basically what I'm trying to get at, right? Like, I'm really trying to help you guys understand the big picture, how an economy works. Come on. There we go. How an economy works, how it's really kind of circular if you sit there and think about it. And we're really the start of all of it. If we choose to not work, we choose to not pay taxes, there's nothing that they can do. But if we opt into it and succumb to a false reality, then we lose. And this is what people have to understand, right? Because we are the power. We are the economic engine. They are not. They literally do not exist if we don't want them to. And this is power that you don't know you have if you don't know how an economy works. So my mission is to literally help you guys understand this. And that is really the key, right? Like, that's the key to success, is understanding where you sit, and where you stand. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just updating this chart, and I should have done it in a little bit better way, but this is a little bit better. For some reason the lines aren't showing, but you guys get the point. When you have a private economy that is constituted of 70% of an economy, what that's saying is that the private sector generates 70% of the GDP, right? Whether it be via consumption or whatever, right? Like, the way we look at GDP, it is defined as a measure of economic consumption, not actually production. Now, what do I mean? When you look at the definition of GDP, it tells you the dollar value of wait, what? Oh, okay. You guys scared me for a little bit there. I thought we had a 2 cent price and my chart wasn't updated, because it's not what I'm seeing. Yeah, I'm not seeing that. 1.897 cents is what I'm seeing. But when you have an economy that's based on 70% of the private consumption coming from the private sector, and we already saw this in the most recent chart, right? Like, the services sector is about 80% as of 2017. And what you have to remember is that the services sector is selling to the private sector, right? That's pretty much how that works. Government isn't selling to anybody. They're just taking your money and doing whatever they want with it, right? Like, we all understand that. Shout out to Luis Hex. Thanks for coming through, brother. So I just want to make sure everybody understands that. Shout out to Tubler Rules. Thank you for coming through, brother. You know, we actually can only generate revenue as part of the private sector by adding value. It doesn't happen on an off chance. It doesn't happen on an off whim. Like, you literally have to add value in order to be valued economically, correct? Like, it doesn't just happen by happenstance. And that's very important to understand, because that is a common misconception. This is why people that inherit money lose it, right? Like, they end up losing it because they don't know how to value it. And that's very important to understand, because at the end of the day, you know, being able to make money is easy. Being able to keep it, however, is not. And what we have to realize is that the bigger government gets, the less we have of the economic pie, because governments oversee a lot of the centralized aspects of our society, right? They oversee your licensing of all industry, whether it's gaming, driving, whatever licensing they can make up, right? Like, they literally oversee all of that. And people, how do I say this, are just duped into believing that it makes sense. Because, excuse me, guys, I'm just eating a banana, taking a little water break. If you sit there and you think about it, I just like to think about driving, because driving is the one thing we most commonly are licensed in. and you think about the quality of drivers that exist, you're going to sit here and tell me that licensing makes any sense just from that aspect? I'm hard pressed to agree. Clearly, it's just a revenue mechanism for the government, and that's okay. But there are better ways to extract value from the economy. And this is the problem that I have with government. We've let it become something that it should not be. And, how long until we just stop that from being the case? Like, why don't we care? We should do a better job of custodying our reality and custodying how things are, right? Like, it's on us to determine our reality. It's not on random individuals. And this is what I want people to understand. It's very easy to just let go and just not worry about it. It's very easy. But we have to realize that that's just a detriment to our reality. It doesn't help us in any way to leave the power of our fortune and our fate in the hands of anybody that doesn't have our best interests at heart and never ever will, no matter what you think. And I'm pretty confident that these people have kind of shown us that they clearly do not care and will never care. And here's the thing. It's not even about being anti-government, anti-anything at this time. It's literally about finding a better way of doing things because the way things have been done clearly do not work. And I feel that we are at a point in time where we're all capable enough as human beings to just do better. Um, and I know it sounds a little altruistic, maybe a little too romantic, but I think after getting beat down a million times, you can only take but so many beatings, right? And sure, we're always going to have bad actors, and those will always be dealt with accordingly, right? But there comes a point in time. Oh, hold on. Oh, this is great. This is great. Less updating to do. All right. So I'm almost done here, guys. I just have to update a few charts and I'm done. I just need to make sure that some hex price charts are accurate. But anyways, but it's important to understand how economies work, right? So where does the private sector? So here's how it works. We have to look at it as two as a one large pie. This is really every economy everywhere in the world, right? It's one large pie, period. And you have the private sector of the economy and you have the public sector of the economy. The private sector is all of us, anybody that's not in government. The public sector is government. Period. Full stop. That's it. No matter where you go, there is no third element. No matter what they call it, that's it. It's two parties, us and them. That's it. It's those that administer the lie and those that believe the lie. That's one way of looking at it, if you like. Um, I like to find myself in the camp that just does not believe it, but that's a story for another day. Back to things that matter. So when you sit there and now you look at, well, where does the public sector extract its revenue from, right? Because we have to understand, we're talking about finance, we're talking about economics. Where does value come from? How is it created? How is it determined? Where do we get it? What helps us get paid? What helps us make money? What helps us live better, right? Yeah, car registration is another one. I'm seeing the chat right now. Yeah, car registration is another one. There's so many scams, right, that they run on people and they don't see it because they just want to believe. And I get it. I get it. I get it. You want to think you can just relinquish control and not have to worry about a thing. But I hate to break it to you. That's just not how real life works. That's how people end up dying at the hands of hospitals. And this is common. That is like the most common thing that happens in human beings. Most common. And that's because you put your power, you put control in the hands of another person that does not care and they don't have to because they get paid no matter what. And that happens because government allows it, because they back that. There's no consequences and repercussions to a lot of negative things that we suffer monetarily if you sit there and think about it. Really none. So the public sector extracts its value from the private sector. What do I mean? When you sit there and you think about what you have to do to survive, you have to get a job, you have to work, you have to hustle, you have to always do stuff no matter what. You're not just making money because you exist, right? It just doesn't work that way. Um, it works that way for some people. For the rest of us that are not so fortunate, it just does not. And it's okay. You know, we just have to deal with it. It is what it is. It's not the end of the world. We are all not as lucky, and that's perfectly fine. So, what does that mean? Well, it means, well, we now understand one side of the equation, right? So we know where we get our money from. We get it from working for it. Straightforward. Doesn't get any harder than any simpler than that, right? Um, that's it. So that's that. Simple enough. But then what? Well, we still get taxed, right? So then the question becomes, well, what do we get taxed for? What, you know, and as always, oh, it's for roads, it's for schools, it's for this, it's for that, it's for this, it's for that. And as we all know, you know, we don't see the value that we give, right? We do not get the value that we give the government. We don't get it back. Um, I don't care if you're poor. I mean, you could be on food stamps, right? And the reality is that you're still losing, and you don't even realize it because you're just too dumb to realize it. And that's a fact. Unless you're scamming the system by working and collecting food stamps, which there are plenty of people that do that, FYI. You know, you're losing. That's the only way to beat the system is by scamming it, right? So it's important to understand that. And there are plenty of people that do, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Charts are almost ready, but this is still what we're talking about here. Just want to let you guys know. Um, so yeah, it's understanding all of these nuances, right? That will make you a better investor, make you understand Hex better as well. Like it's all of these things, right? Because understanding where we are in time is key. It's so important, so important. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what's important to realize, right? Because that's what makes Hex the perfect investment. This is why I know going all in Hex is what makes sense, because you're literally at a cross point in time that, man, people are going to wish they were paying attention. They really are. They're going to rue the day that they did not. And that's just the way it is, man. You know? And it's just like it's just like me when I didn't respect Bitcoin back in the day. Like, even though I knew, right? Like, and this is coming from a person that knew, but I didn't take it seriously enough to understand what was actually going on. Like, I didn't respect it seriously enough. What's up, Bitstream? Thank you for coming through, brother. You know what I'm saying? So it's all of these things that we have to understand we can't take for granted. And now we see the Bitcoin community just ready to sell out, man, at a whim. Like they're ready to sell out. They're not in this for the long haul. It's pretty obvious. They're just here to get their money and run. And that's okay. You know, that's perfectly all right. Hexagons will be around for at least 15 years for the most part. Hold on, guys. It's never ending around here. Give me a second. Jesus. Okay. That one was quick. It's already gone. Um, but yeah, so this is important to understand, right? That we're literally setting ourselves up for success because we understand the name of the game in general. And that's the key, right? It's very important to understand how an economy works, right? So now we know that we add value to the system by providing value to the system, right? That's obvious now that I've outlined it as is, right? The only way that a private entity, i.e., you, the citizen, or any business, corporation, whatever, obviously not the woke ones that think they can tell us what to do, but all the other ones, right? The small private businesses, um, you know, they understand that if you're not putting out value, you're not getting any value from the system, right? That's pretty straightforward. And they act in accordance with that, right? Customers always right, yada yada, blah blah blah. They're always looking for ways to make the customer experience better so that they can keep selling their products, right? That's what it's all about, always and forever. Even with me and my streams, right? I'm asking you guys for feedback. What do you guys want? What do you guys think is better? What should I do? Yada yada, blah blah blah. And it's the same idea, right? Same concept, same concept. So you have to ask yourself, well, you have this group of people that are called government, and their objective is to literally take every third or more, I get taxed at 35%, of what you make, right? Like, they fucking taking everything, right? Like, I work for greater than a third of the year, not for myself, not for my future. You understand? So, this is why Hex is so important. It gives you all of that right back, literally, because the APY is what? If you stake for 5 years or more, 5.5 years or more, it's going to be 38%, 37%, right? So it's like a no-brainer, guys. And when people find this and they sit there and they do a little bit of math, or they catch a stream where somebody's talking about that math and they sit there and go and confirm it, they're going to be blown away. And what do you think they're going to do? FOMO in, regardless of the price. Because you have to understand, nothing like this exists nowhere. Right? Nothing like this exists nowhere. Very important to understand that, because that's critical, 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 critical. That's what's going to set everything apart when it comes to Hex, literally. That's not going to ever not be the case. It's very important we understand that, because there's some things that are just going to always be true, always. And that's one of them. Hex is always going to stand alone. And all of these things that we're discussing tonight are why, right? We literally are extorted at the same rate at which we get our APY, annual percentage yield, in Hex. How ironic is that, right? And then guess what? We're getting a little bit more just in Hex, right? Because if you do the math and you take into account the penalties, you're always going to get a little bit more than the 37%, right? You're always going to get a little bit more than that average, right? Just a little bit more. And over time, that little bit more becomes a few percentage points. So it's important, right? And this is why being staked long is critical, right? It's understanding the aspects of the system, all of those things that set you up for success. I mean, it's so crazy, because once you come to fully understand the system, you really realize that you just can't lose no matter what, right? Like, it's always designed to pay you over that respective timeline as long as you stake accordingly. It's a beautiful thing. It really, really is, once you sit there and are able to really, really get it and appreciate it for what it is. I mean, it's really, really a beautiful thing. And this is why Hex is such a great investment, right? And we're now about to get double up on the Pulse chain. Like, what? Oh my God. I'm going to get into that in a little bit, because that is just crazy. Uh, 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 uh. And I got a couple of announcements to make towards the end of the stream, just to talk about what's going on in other areas of the Hexican world, because as you guys know, we're trying to make Hex a global thing. It's the best crypto, and everybody should know that it is. And I'm using the little bit of influence that I have within the community to get the algorithms out there pumping and shaking, right, and bringing attraction to Hex in other parts of the world, if that's what it takes. As you guys know, I don't consider myself anything special, but if the computer thinks so, why not? We're going to use it. And that's all it's about. Just using the computer and pumping our bags collectively, because when we work together, we all win. And that's just a fact of the matter. So I'm helping the Hex Asians. I'm going to be working with, well, I was going to save it for the end, but I might as well share it now. Now that much more people are watching, I'm working with the Hex Asians. We stream on Saturdays, or I'm sorry, not Saturdays, Sundays at 9 a.m. And then Mondays at 9 a.m. And I'm helping them get the word out over there in Asia, because as you guys know, it's important to get everybody on board. And when Asia came on board, Bitcoin back in the day, it was crazy. Like, the price went parabolic. Like, nobody's ever had seen anything like that before. And, it's going to happen here, right? Like when Asia wakes up to the reality that they've been played and lied to this whole time, and they discover Hex, it's game over. Because they're going to understand this is better than gold. People over there, people outside of the U.S. can do math. Not even over there, but people outside of the U.S. they can do math. In my country, they can use the word or the symbol sign in infinity, and people know what that means. It's not going to be something that they have to Google, right? Like, it's crazy but true. Like, you know what I mean? Like, most people don't even know what that symbol is over here, and it's just a sad fact. So it's very important to understand that the rest of the world will catch on way quicker than the U.S. And maybe even the UK. I don't know. Maybe people over there learn math better than we do here. Hope so. But we got that ad in the Economist this weekend, because they come out every Friday. So we are now seeing people, or we now know that people overseas or wherever, right? Because of what the Economist is a global magazine. Wherever they might be reading that, they are now going to be finding that advertisement right below the CME ad, right? So it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. And we will all benefit from that. All right, let me make sure. Oh, this is not right now. Why? Let me just get this chart updated, and we will be rocking shortly, guys. Just give me a second. Just want to make sure I tidy this up. But yeah, back to the economics of the situation, because that's what the stream is about. That's why it's important, right? We understand that we are the providers of economic value, and they are the extractors. This 30%, it comes from us. So the bigger they get, the less we have. This is the whole point of this stream that I want people to understand. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you some charts that highlight the significance of that, because it's very, very critical. It's critical information. It's important that we all understand this. Oh, man, we've reached a milestone in day 2 in terms of the data, guys. We have reached a milestone. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you guys are going to like this. It's fucking FOMO City today, baby. FOMO City today. Oh, yeah. All right, so that's good to go. Gotta update this. Let me update this. But this is why I'm doing this stream. This is why I want you guys to understand how economies work, especially the ones in which we live, because this is basically what it is. And I'm going to play with the pie a little bit so you guys can see exactly what I mean, because this is exactly how it works. The bigger the public sector gets, the smaller the private sector gets. And the messed up thing about it is you don't really see it on the face because it's not obvious, right? And the reason it's not obvious is because people are losing their jobs, and it seems like there's something going on, right? Because of what you see in the media. They make it seem like there's something going on, but there's nothing going on. It's just the capacity for the private sector is being reduced because the public sector is getting bigger. And the bigger they get, the less that there is to go around for us to share, because we're just one economic pie at the end of the day, right? That's what people have to understand. Just one economic pie, guys. Just one economic pie. Okay, so now the charts are all ready to go. So now I can go back to playing with this slide here. Give me a second, guys, so we can get back to the economics things. There we go. Okay. So if an economy is based on, oops, sorry, guys. I really hate Excel sometimes. Why is it doing this to me? Okay, I see why. So I'll try this again. 100 minus. There we go. So the public sector grows to 40%. This is what automatically happens. All right. This is what automatically happens. We are losing, right? Automatically. This is what happens when governments get bigger, right? And who am I talking about when I'm talking about government exactly? I'm talking about any federal level, any municipal level, whether it be state, local, township, villageship, or whatever, right? All of these government sponsored entities, Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, all your local overseers, right? All your local overlords, they're government sponsored entities, right? Police force, whatever have you. They're all government sponsored entities. They are all able to survive based on tax of labor and consumption. Otherwise, it would not exist. This is something that people need to understand, right? This is not to complain about government. This is to explain how things work. It's very important that people understand that because we are the reason things are as they are, right? If we let them get any bigger, well, what do you think is going to happen to the unemployment rate, to the economy, to everything? What do you think is going to happen? Because this is how things actually work, right? Like if you look at an economy like China's economy, right? This is the reality of their economy, right? It's really something like this, right? This is the reality of the economy because most of the private entities that exist there exist backed by GSC loans and all that shit. So they're really state-owned entities, right? They're GSE. So this is what China actually looks like, right? You don't see it at the face because that's not what they want you to see. But this is the reality. And this is what people need to understand, right? This is why understanding what's actually going on is important. It's very, very critical. You know what I mean? Like, imagine if this was the case. If you deemed what was right and what was not. Imagine that. That's the way it should be. Shouldn't be any other way. Like, there's no reason for you to get raped just for fun, right? Because clearly they're not spending their money where it's supposed to be. They're not. If they were, we wouldn't have this crazy infrastructure issue. What's going on, Nate, bro? You're good, man. We only an hour and a half in. We're just getting to really, really started. I'm just explaining how an economy works. What's going on? I don't know if I'm saying your name right. I hope I am. I got a cousin that's named that, but in DR it's a little different. It's not spelled like that. No E at the end, just Mamin. He ain't watching, but shout out to him. um, so it's important to understand all these tidbits, all this information. Um, we control this here. We either choose to participate in the sham, right, or we don't. That's really what it is, right? So we are the determinants of what happens. No one else, right? Because we allow these people to have a piece of the pie. We allow them to have it. This is what we need to understand, right? And we need to understand how they're doing that, right? There's a reason we fill out W-2s if you're in the U.S. or any tax form that allows them to take our income before we can even give it to them, right? It's important to understand this. What's going on, T-Bird? So let me provide a little update since people are still joining. Take a little intermission, a little water break. Give me a second, guys. All right. So what I've gone over is basically how an economy works. And I started by explaining that a Western economy is one that functions on a debt-based consumption system. The consumer is the engine of the economy. And I'm still pretty much talking about that. And I pretty much detailed how the sectors of our economy are essentially based on us consuming. And that's what the gray highlights. And over time, it's only gotten worse. Meaning, if we don't keep consuming, we're going to collapse. Literally, that's what that means. So it's important to understand that that's what we actually have to have happen. Because the longer we don't allow that to happen, the longer the system that doesn't work is allowed to exist. And that's the problem, right? We cannot have a system that obviously does not work existing, because then what ultimately happens is this, right? Or even worse, right? At one point, people in the 1% bracket were taxed like that. For what? Just because. Makes no sense, right? And there was no benefit to that publicly. I mean, it's crazy, right? Like, there's really never any public benefit to anything governments do. We just lose. This is why we keep getting taxed more and more and more over time. Like, it's not a coincidence, it's by design. And people have to understand that. So you have a public sector of the economy, which is literally there to tax labor and consumption. And then you have everybody else that isn't part of the economy, which is a private sector, which can only derive income from adding value to the economy, right? You can only get value by giving value. That's literally how it works. Yet government does not have to do that. So this is why it's important to understand that people have the power, and you can say no to an increasing public sector because you are the payer, right? You're the person with the money in your pocket. You're the person with the power. This was very important to understand, right? And I'm going to go into some crazy charts that are going to really make you think, like, why am I just giving these people my money? Because it makes no sense. Now, what this chart is showing you is how big government has gotten over time, straight up. Now, as you look at here, this is federal net outlays from 1930 to now, and GDP from 1930 to now. I've gone over, I've gone over how GDP works and how it's basically. Shout out to Juicy Smolier. Yeah, that name killed me, bro. Every time kills me. Smoke break. But yeah, I've explained that the more they can debase the dollar, the higher GDP goes, right? This is what we're seeing on this chart. Um, Now, GDP is leaps and bounds, right? And it's the left side of the chart is leaps and bounds higher than domestic, than federal net outlays, which is interesting. I'm sorry, it's not leaps and bounds higher, it's lower. I'm sorry, it's lower. Let me say this again. Let me start from the top. GDP has not grown. It's on the left axis. It hasn't grown as much as federal net outlays since the same period of time. Very interesting, is it not? Because what we're seeing is that we're at almost 200,000 times since 100, the inception. We've grown 200. I mean, even the damn payout per T-share sum index isn't this good. This is crazy, right? Like almost 200,000 times, right? 200,000%. This is crazy. From 100 to 200,000. That's insane. That's how big government has gotten. That's how much they've taken from you, right? And in 1 year, it went from, it looks like, 140 to 200 in 1 year. That's how much they've spent. That's how much they've taken from you, right? And this is what I'm highlighting. Federal net outlays is what they're spending. What they're spending it on, who knows? Because you don't have an accurate tabulation, right? And nobody cares. And that's the problem. We need to care because this is money that gets taken out of our paycheck if you work, for example, right? So this is crazy because nobody realizes this. GDP is underperforming how government is spending since inception, since 1930. That's crazy as fuck. That's super crazy. Now, here we have federal government, national defense consumptions and expenditures, and gross investment, left and right. Now, what I'm showing on the left is a percentage change year over year, and what I'm showing on the right is the billions of dollars that are spent, right? And what we're looking at here is basically the same time frame as the previous chart. Sorry. Right, we're really looking at it from here. except that we're just starting a little further back, a little further up here. So we're starting at like 1945 thereabouts. And what we're seeing is that the national defense, i.e., the military industrial complex, you know what I'm talking about, has only grown from nothing to $900 billion. Right? But here's the thing. What you're looking at is the ramp up here in the Korea War. Right? This is what that was. Um, Now, if you're looking at here, you're seeing the bumps in Vietnam over time, right? And these were all of the things they started doing for the Cold War, right? This is what that rate of change is. And look at what we get here, right? This is the dollar move. This is the rate of change, right? And this is being shown on this left axis, right? So for Korea, we went ham and spent over 100%, no problem. So this is crazy, right? Like, you got to look at what, like, you got to think about it as it is, right? These are billions of dollars that are being spent on these endeavors that have nothing to do with anything. It's crazy. And again, right? Like 20% growth, 10%, 10%. And here it was just positive, man, for 2 whole decades straight. They were just spending cash money. No problem. To the clip to where they reached $400 billion in the 90s and the 80s. Like, what? That's a lot of money back then. A whole lot of money, not like now. And then guess what? They had to find a reason to ignite spending again. And we know what came of that. I don't want to talk about it. We know. 2001, we know what happened. And it's just been a free fall ever since, right? And we're rapidly growing every year because this is the thing you have to understand. What matters is how much the line is above zero, and it's above zero a lot, and that's the problem. That's the problem. This line should not be above zero a lot because what that means is that the people are winning in a big way. That's right. 80 through 85, what are your Reaganomics? And here's something that I haven't shared before publicly, probably. I discovered a while back that Reagan was actually a positive actor from the out of his presidency. What happened is that after he got shot at, he had to change his tune if he wanted to live. So he had to let that go. And that's what happened with that. So we'll keep it moving. But this is important to understand, right? This is what's actually happening. This is recent data. This is not even old. Like, this is what's actually happening right now. So right now we're at $900 billion in spending for national defense. For what? Exactly. Something to consider. Now, here we're looking at civilian labor force versus the percentage of civilian labor force unemployed 15 weeks and over. Now, this is a hell of a chart because they make it seem like everything is good. And let me tell you, it's not. Right? And how do we know that? Well, if you've been unemployed for 15 years or 15 weeks or more, your unemployment, the unemployment rate in that demographic has increased to the tune of 3.5% relative to last year. So how much better has it actually gotten? Can't. Right? Now, on top of that, the civilian labor force level has collapsed. Right? We've lost. Now, I don't have a chart, and I should probably get one. Now that I think about it, I didn't even think about that because, sorry, I'm gonna have to throw just so you guys can see what the civilian labor force level actually is. Let me get a chart to show you because that's actually important because you're missing a part of the picture. So let me get that real quick because it is important. Civilian labor force. Go on, Fred. Keep up. It's very important because no, this isn't it. Wow, this is something though. You know what? Oh yeah, this is gonna be a good chart to show. So I'm gonna use this one. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry, but this is gonna be worth taking the time to do. So please bear with me, because I really want to give you the whole picture here. Um, Variable force participation rate. Here we go. That's the other one. Add data series. Boom. Let me just change the scaling format. All right. Oh my God, this is insane, guys. Oh my God. I haven't looked at this data in so long. I'm glad I'm doing this stream right now. Holy shit. Um, this is actually sobering, somber, melancholy, whatever you want to call it. Um, this is very sad. Um, but it's a reality we have to deal with. Sorry, guys. I live in the hot blocks of the Bronx, so bear with my background noise. Um, yeah, this is insane. Um, wow. All right. So, okay. Sorry about that, but now we're good to go. Um, yeah. So we're gonna get back to it. So what you're seeing is basically how unemployment has increased for people that have been unemployed for a very long period of time. That period of time being 15 weeks along with this red line, and it's been increased by 3% relative to a year ago. As of this point in time, which was like March 2020, or I'm sorry, the end of 2020, December 2020. Um, and the civilian labor force has dropped 2.5% towards the end of December 2020. Now, if you look at this graphic, it's never moved like this ever in its history. And this is what I want to highlight for the civilian labor force drop. Um, for the unemployment rate, yeah, of course, we've seen this before in the 80s, 70s with the inflation shock. Again, in the 90s, and even in the 90s and the early 2000s wasn't even as bad as it is now. So things are not good. Things are going to get worse before they get better. And here's just the unemployment rate thrown onto that chart. And as we can see, the unemployment rate has increased along with the number of people that have been unemployed. And the unemployment rate is on the right side of this chart, and it's currently at 6.5%, I guess. I don't really bother looking at that stuff anymore because it's really fake data. Because what you're not getting is the amount of people that are not included in that data series. Um, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know, Brent. I didn't know because they just sound very loud over here. So it's very, very. It sounds as bad. It sounds way worse than I guess it does to you guys. Um, but yeah, so the unemployment rate doesn't include everybody that isn't in the labor system or labor force looking for work, quote unquote. So you don't get the actual, picture. So it's important to understand that. So I don't really put any weight on that data. But here's the labor force participation rate. This is the chart that I just created that I wanted to show you guys. And here's the civilian force level in blue and the labor force participation rate in red. That is on the right axis, and the civilian labor force level is on the left-hand side, on the left axis, in thousands of persons. Now, this is 160 million. Now, what I want you guys to realize is how this chart went up for a long time, and then it just recently collapsed out of nowhere due to what they did in 2020. Very important to understand that. Very, very important. Now, what I'm going to do, which I didn't intend to do, which I'm going to now have to do, is shrink this down in time. Give me a second because I'm just in shock. I'm really just in shock because I haven't looked at this data in so long that I'm just fucking disgusted. Because you're going to fucking sit here and tell me all this shit had to happen? Nah, fuck that. Fuck out of here. Fake ass shit. This is just fucking disgusting, man. And it just pisses me off. It really does. Because people are walking around parading this bullshit. And it should piss anybody with a fucking brain off. It really fucking should. Fucking bullshit. fucking entire bullshit. Get the fuck out of here. Hold on, guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back 40 years just to get a better view. Oh, yeah, this is better. Just going to add another chart after this just to zoom in a little bit. Just to give a better picture, a clearer picture of what's actually going on. This is just very disturbing to me. And they act like this shit is just not happening, and it is. I mean, there's more homeless people now than I've seen in my lifetime, and I grew up in the crack era. Like, I need you people to understand that. Like, people with jobs are living in airports, you know, they can't afford rent because they're not able to make enough. Like, that's really going on. And New York is not the only place where this is happening. This is happening all over the country. All over the country. Okay, so what I just replicated, what I just created now is just a closer view of this chart. Just to zoom in a little bit and give us a closer view. I wanted to highlight on the importance of the big picture before we zoomed in a little bit into the last 40 years of what's been happening during the expanded credit cycle, which we've been seeing with an expanded government takeover, right? And I mean, it's pretty clear this is what's been happening here critically since the 70s, but more so since the 80s, right? Like, boom, 20% from a year ago, it lit that fire and got that party started, right? And we're seeing it right here again, right? Like the 80s, right? Like, it just, come on. You kidding me? 200,000 versus 20,000. This is the whole economy. This is the whole economy's growth, guys. Okay? The left column is GDP. The whole economy has only grown 20,000 plus times, 22,000 plus times versus federal net outlays since 1930, which has grown almost 200,000 times. How the fuck is that possible? Seriously. How does this make sense? Right? Like, you got to ask yourself that question because that shit is fucking crazy. So now we're going to zoom in. This is the last 40 years. This is from 1980, January, to now. Okay? So looking at it closer, you can see a little better what you were looking at this big picture, what you were seeing in that big picture, right? And it looks a little more dramatic now with the closer view, and it should, because this was 1999, 1998, not that long ago, and we dropped from 67% in labor force participation rate to damn near 61% in 20 years. That's a 6% drop in the labor force in 20 years. That's a problem because it's been a gradual drop over time and it's been ignored, right? All of these things are a function of what we've allowed governments to do in our land, literally. So it's something that people have to understand is a reality, right? And the longer the recession, the worse the impact over time. And we've never recovered from this recession because they just kept printing. And you can see it on the chart, right? Like, this is increasing again. It's not going below the zero. Like, it's just getting worse again. And they're just spending more. Nothing has changed for them. The party continues for them, right? Like, this is what this is showing. This is what I want people to understand, right? Like, this is important. This is why Hex is a fucking rock, right? Like, you can't beat it. This is why. Because we're basing our dollar on this shit, right? Like, this fiat that you're talking about selling out to, this is what you're talking about selling out to. This is what you're converting your actual hard-earned labor into when you convert it into fiat. You're turning it into trash and disrespect, straight up, right? And this is the reality, right? And this is what this talk is about. It's about helping people understand the economic system, how it works, how it functions, where the value comes from, how the value is dissipated, how it's created, how it's destroyed. All of these things are really one big picture, right? They're a big gumbo in a pot. Very important to understand that. And that pot is something that we do have control over because guess what? We make money as long as we're working. And if we continue to let them determine what is good as far as this goes, meaning their public stance, meaning their power, this is their power, right? The more we let them take from us, the more power we're giving them, literally. This is what I want people to understand, right? This is what I want people to understand. The more they take, the more we give them, the more they take, the smaller the pie is for us. The economy is one economic pie. And the more we let them take, the less we have. And I think it's become clear after all the charts that I've been showing that this is exactly what's happening. You can't say the economy has only grown 20,000 times versus their spending, which has grown 200,000 times during the same time frame, and that this is good. Taxes are good because they know what they're doing. But in reality, what they're doing is throwing money away, 900 to the tune of $900 billion. Okay, that's what's actually happening right now, and this is what I want people to understand. And this is coming from a person that has worked inside the beast as a member of the military and understands what fraud, waste, and abuse is. So this is it. This is what's actually going on. They're taking your money, they're playing with it for their own purposes, and they're causing you to lose your job, you to lose your life, you to lose a lot of things, family members, friends, loved ones, to economic hardship because of what they're opting to do with everything, literally, right? And we have to understand that that's what's going on, literally what's going on. So this is not a lecture to the tune of talking down on people. This is a lecture that is trying to explain the true facets of the economy, how it's actually working, and not in our favor, against us. And it's evident in their own data that they're willing to release to us. And we're not looking at it. So here I am. And I haven't looked at this data probably since 2015, to be honest with you guys, if not even further back. Because this has just been a joke this whole time and nobody wants to see it. And it's sad. Because at the end of the day, we all lose collectively no matter who wins if we don't get our shit together. And that's a fact. That's a fact. So I'm probably just going to end it there and we're just going to get into the hex charts because we are looking phenomenal. And I'm fairly confident that I no longer sound crazy to most people now. Unlike when I first came on the stream. So welcome aboard the dollar train. Enjoy the ride. So we are on day 476 and currently as of I guess 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time 000 UTC, we are at 371% post big payday. The HEX index is the pink line or the red line. The T-shirt index is the magenta line. The Ethereum index is the orange line. The Bitcoin index is the yellow line. And what we're doing is we're comparing each respective asset with respect to time for the first 476 days of their respective existence. So on this chart, Bitcoin is 476 days old, Ethereum is 476 days old, and so is HEX and the T-shares, all from their respective starting points in time. And HEX is outperforming to the tune of 8,880%. The T-shares are at a whopping 15,122% rounding up. Ethereum index is just there, lagging along, 785% rounding up, and Bitcoin is still asleep. So now my favorite chart. HEX post big payday. We're 138 days in. We are 197% above the third halving, 224% above the second halving, and we are only 53% below the first halving. And the first halving is struggling. And this is what happens when you don't have stakers in your coin. You get big sellers, and it doesn't get bought up like it does in HEX, and we are currently at 1.88176 cents. And HEX continues to scream higher to the tune of 371.4%. The third halving index is at 1.25%. The second halving index is at 1.15%. And we're just chugging along nicely. And I just can't wait to cross this line, because we will eventually cross this line. And I will laugh, and it will be great. And we will all laugh, and it will be great. But I'll just probably be laughing first. And that's okay. Moving on. T-shares to Ethereum versus T-shares to Bitcoin. We're just holding value steady, and we're just, taking over wallet share. This is the way I like to look at this, because, the T-shares always go up, but Bitcoin and Ethereum seem to always go up as well. So it becomes a race to a certain extent. And how fast T-shares move is a function of demand, is a function of end staking, is a function of restaking. So it's very important to understand that it's a cycle, right? It's a cycle just like everything else. But they're all there to keep each other in check. One cannot go out of bounds and not think it's going to get reined in, because that's exactly what happens. Always, right? Once T-shares get overvalued, it comes back every time. So let's not forget that. Right now, we're at half of a Bitcoin in terms of percent with respect to the T-shares, which is great. We're almost 0.06% really. It's up there. Right now, the T-shares are at 15.84%, almost 16%. I mean, will we keep going? I think so. I think we're going to keep going in terms of price until we at least probably hit 10,000% again. Or 10,000%, sorry, because we've broken out before we actually take a pause, and that might bring T-shares to that 160,000 level or 16,000% level before it pauses. So maybe we'll pause before we hit that 10,000 level. I don't know. It seems like they'll be in line, so we'll probably take a pause together at the same time there, just to give you guys some type of timing on that. Now the HEX payout index return metrics. Payout per T-share index is the yellow line. The payout per T-share sum index is the pink line, and the daily payout index is the magenta line. And the payout per sum index is giving us a whopping 160,291%. And we finally crossed over that 160,000 mark. I mean, when I started, I think this line was only in the 140,000s. I mean, I can look up probably one of the first ones. Let me see. Because this is just crazy, man. This thing it's nonstop, man. It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing. Come on. Okay, it doesn't want to open up, I guess. Oh, there it goes. Let's see. Wow. Yeah, this is moving relatively fast. Yeah. Just on March 27th or maybe 26th, it was at 152,000%. So that's just some reference for how fast this is moving along. So it's just crazy right now. It's crazy right now. Payout per T-share index is at 527%. And as I always explain, this is what you've received for being staked with one T-share in terms of payout per T-share. It's grown fivefold. The payout per T-share sum index is all of the HEX you've received from one T-share since inception, and it's 160,000 times in terms of growth. I mean, this is crazy. This is really, really crazy, because, wow. Daily payout index has grown 11,000%. I mean, this is just phenomenal, right? Like, this is just crazy. Like, what payout pool has grown that much? Point it out to me. I'll wait. I'll wait. I'll wait. This is crazy. All right. So daily payout metrics for HEX. This is as of tonight's 000 UTC rollover if you're in the UK. 8 p.m. if you're in the US. Payout per T-share was 5.815 HEX. Daily payout was 64,000,002. Total T-shares 11 million. Now we've had big whales exit the system or short stakes end. And this is why the rate has repriced so much. Let's see where the HEX T-shirt rate is at? I don't actually know. Wow, 17,228. 17,228. I mean, it was the last time I looked at it, it was 22,222. So that thing is really getting a move on. And it's very important to understand that. I mean, man, Hex is good. Jesus. I'm sorry, guys. I was just staring at my accounts, one of my wallets or whatever. So yeah, back to this. Um, T-share rate with respect to live pricing is at 17,044, meaning you might want to pick up some Hex because it's a little undervalued and it's about to go higher. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. The annual percentage yield is at 38%, meaning if you stake for at least 5.5, wow, 5.53 years, because it went up. This morning it was 5.52. This tonight is 5.53. It's crazy. um, Duration is getting extended, and I don't know, man. Maybe with that, the APY goes up as long as the staking percentage stays constant, because the staking percentage hasn't really changed. We're only really at 9 point. I mean, and in fact, it's gone down, which is okay. I don't mind it. It's at 9.678. It keeps our APY high, and we don't lose. So it's important to understand that as a staker, you're always getting paid every day. If you're not staking, and I don't know what to tell you, but good luck with that. So right now, this is the payout per T-share sum line, and this line is representing the orange line. How many hex you've received per T-share since inception. So if you wanted, I could literally carve this out with respect to a date, and we can get how many payout per T-share the system has paid since that point in time. That's literally all that is. The Hex index is, as we already discussed, 8,880%. And as always, this is just going to keep hugging this line because this is the value proposition for Hex, right? So it's just crazy, man. This is just designed beautifully, and it's working as designed. Hex, the payout per T-share sum is currently at 1,768. And that's a lot of Hex for just one T-share and doing a whole lot of nothing. So yeah, so this is a chart where I wanted to talk about the T-share rate. And actually, I'll show you guys something that I discussed earlier in the Hex Agent stream. I didn't intend to discuss it tonight, but fuck it, why not? I'll give you guys a little goodie. Since you guys have stuck around for so long, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you for taking the time. Let me just do a little public service announcement. Thank you for taking your time out of Easter, for those who celebrated, to sit with me during this live stream. I do appreciate your time, and I hope that you don't feel it is being wasted. This is my effort to add value to everybody's lives. And I'm actually going to do this. Give me another second, guys, because this is actually going to be pretty cool. Because I don't actually talk about this a lot, but I think you guys will appreciate it. But you know what? Let me see if I can fix this, because it doesn't look right. And I've never shared this before. I've never intended to. But since I am planning on to now, might as well do it right. So give me a second. Bear with me. You will not be disappointed. Trust me. But be advised, this is just for fun. I have not altered this information since I've played with it. So this is really just trash, okay? Do not take this as anything serious. Just take it as educational. Please, 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 please. I'm just giving it as a goodie because you guys have been so good to me, and I just want to share some really cool information with you guys. So give me a second. I just want to make sure that it looks good. It's not trash. As you guys know, we don't roll like that in Hexagon World. Yeah, okay. I think it is good. I think I just need to get the line right. Give me a second, guys. Format data series. I don't think this is. Line. Right. Why isn't this coming up? Uh, let me see something. But there's nothing wrong with this line. Why is it showing like that? What am I doing wrong? What am I doing wrong? Is it the scaling? Oh, it's the fucking scaling, motherfucker. Okay, so this isn't gonna look right because I can't start at 0. So this is booty. Let me see. Yeah, it's not letting me. Hold on. Ah, okay. Let me see if I can change that and change this. No, it's not letting me change it. Ah, fuck. Fucking hate Excel. Okay. So this is as good, I guess, as it's gonna get. Because if I do log base 2, it's just gonna give us a straight line. But it's a log base 2 line, which is the fucked up part. But damn it. Let me see if I can try another log. Nope. Nope. All right. So I'm just not gonna be able to show it in its true form, but I'll explain why shortly. Give me a second, guys. Done. Um, it's just that the numbers are so crazy that it has to be this way. So I just want you guys to understand that. Okay. Please hold on to your formal pants. Please. Please, please, please. Please. Please, please, please. All right, here goes nothing. And please remember, this is not a real tabulation. This is not anything that you should be taking to the bank. So please, treat it with respect. Treat it with what it is. It's just a forecast. It's not anything serious. So just please keep that in mind. This is why I've never shown it. It's not worth showing. This is going to change ultimately. So please remember that. And let me see. I just want to make sure the chart is clean for you guys. And let me add this data label. Oh, nope, wrong one. So please, guys, just remember this. And again, I'm harping for a reason. I've been holding this in my back pocket for probably a month for a very good reason. And I'm going to explain why shortly. It's just Excel's being a pain in my fucking ass right now. Jesus Christ. Just bear with me, please. I'm almost done. Sorry, guys. All right. Okay. Almost done. Almost done. Almost done. Series name. All right. Now, again, remember, please, this is estimation. This is not to be taken seriously. Treat it as it is. It's not, it's not real. It's not real. I haven't touched this data since March 12th or March 7th. So just please remember, this is not real. I'm just gonna keep saying that because you guys are gonna lose your shit when you see it. That's why I'm saying that. This is why I've never shown it. Um, please bear with me. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I'm almost done. I just have to finish one thing, and come on, man. All right. Let me make sure the chart looks good. Yeah, we're looking good, but Hex is not showing, so hold on. Okay. All right. So we're almost there. Just bear with me because PowerPoint is not being a pain in my ass. Can't win. Can't win, guys. Almost done here. Almost done. Give me a second. or shall I say 30 more seconds, and we will be there shortly. Because this is fucking crazy, okay? And there's a reason I haven't shown this, and you guys will see why shortly. Because it's a crazy ass forecast, right? And I'll explain how I went about coming up with it. And again, it's just really a treat for you guys to think about, what the future could be. We don't really know what it will be, but just remember, it's just a forecast, okay? Please. It's not real. This is a forecast. This is not real. Writing this in the chat because I want people to really understand this, okay? So let's talk about the T-share rate because now we're going to get into it. The T-share rate is literally the dollar value of the T-share divided by the dollar value of 10,000 hex. So if you pop that into your calculator right from the screen, you're going to get the value you're getting right now. 329.04 divided by 193.05. And this gives you 1.7044289. So you would multiply that by 10,000 because it's by 10,000 hex, which gives you 17,044 with 3, right? Rounding up. This is what's important, right? So why am I talking about this? Because we have to understand that we're very early on. And when the system actually goes live, and let me take a little water break, guys. Shout out to Unwreck. What's up, brother? I'm gonna be streaming with them, but with the Aussies on February. Listen to me. On April 5th, 11 p.m. Pacific Daylight Time. You guys will want to tune in. It's gonna be a good one. So yeah, what's up, Brendan? How are you doing, well, brother? T-share rate is the dollar value of T-shares divided by the dollar value of 10,000 hex. Now remember, this, what you're about to see, is a forecast. And I want you to remember you are early on into what's going on. What's going on, Crypto King? Shout out. Glad you can join us, brother. Glad you can join us. It's a packed house. 84 souls watching, 84 eyeballs. Thank you guys for joining the stream. I really appreciate your time. Just want to let you guys know that. Right now, we're currently trading at 1.88 cents. Duration is 5.53 years. 27,967 stakers. We are literally 34 stakers away from hitting 28,000 stakers. We are at $1.16 billion staked. 9.68 billion or 9.68% of the total outstanding supply is staked. We have a current price of still 1.88 cents. So we are getting up there, baby. We are getting up there. So back to this T-share rate. Remember, we are early on. Okay, this is just getting started. We don't know how the system is going to develop over time. So please understand that what you're about to view is for forecast purposes only. I haven't touched this since March 7th. So it is stale data. I have not updated any of the projections or anything like that. But what you're about to see is a forecasted T-share rate. This is what everybody's been looking for. But you guys have to remember, it's not ever going to be like Bitcoin stock to flow model because it's not static. What does that mean? Static means it does not change. Okay? Bitcoin halvings are always going to be Bitcoin halvings, and they're always going to happen every 210,000 blocks. That's how it's coded. Okay? Let's see. That's right. Shout out to Dan. Dan Evans. Good one, brother. So you're saying that when Hex goes 5 times from 2 cents, I'll be able to sell it for 10 cents? Answer. No, my son. I'm telling you that if it gets that high, you'll want to mistake it once again. That's damn right. Right. No. I'm not gathering data since March 7th. I'm saying the data is from March 7th and it has not been updated. So this is not, anything I will hang a hat on, but it's still not that off, which is fucking crazy. But it's fine. I'll get into it. So again, we have to remember we're early on in the system's existence. This is a forecast. This is going to change over time. And be advised, this data is about a month old, so stale data is no bueno, right? No, none at all. Please hold on to your formal pants, guys, because it's about to get real. Yes. Yes. This is what our stock to flow model would look like. Except for that, it's not realistic. Why? Because we're not able to see the microcosm of the price patterns down here throughout time, right? We can't see it. Now, the blue line is what the price of HEX will, you know what, let me fix something because this is no bueno. Sorry, guys. Let me just fix something that I do not like. Number, we're going to make this a currency. Yeah, that's better. Because I want you guys to understand this is a forecasted dollar value of X based on this t-shirt rate. So let me explain what this chart is saying. And number one, remember, this is a forecast. This is not real. This is not real. Remember, this is a forecast, okay? When I took this data set and I forecasted this, what I did was I took the t-shirt rate at that point in time, which was 16,999 hex per t-shirt. So this was that long ago. Right now, we're at 17,228. And just so you guys know how accurate or inaccurate this model is, just so you guys know, right now we are at, what's the day? 4-4. So as a 4-4, we are 17,228 hex, right? We are off by 51 hex. So that's how off I am. So this is not a good forecast at all. I'm very, very off based on the t-shirt rate, okay? So I want you to understand that, okay? So do not take this seriously. This is just a forecast. Please, I'm going to say this again. It's just a forecast. This is just a forecast. This is just a forecast. In fact, I'm just going to have to create a banner. If I could move this, I would. But please understand, this is just a banner. Or this is just a forecast. Okay? This is just a forecast. This is not real. Please understand that. Okay? Very important. I don't want anybody making any decisions based on this information. Okay? So I just want you guys to understand. I'm going to explain each item one by one. We have the t-shirt rate. Now, this is what we see when we go to HEX to stake. Go to HEX.com to stake. Shh. Don't speak loudly, Brendan. Right? So when I took this, it was the HEX rate was, the t-shirt rate was 6,999 HEX per t-shirt. Okay? Right now, we're 51 HEX off of the forecast that I had at the time. So we're ahead of pace. So, as always, HEX is outperforming expectations. Very important to understand that. Wow, 93 people watching. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch. I really do appreciate it. This is the t-shirt rate forecasted from when it was 6,999 HEX per t-shirt. And what I did with the help of Hexline from Crypto Sparbuck, shout out to them, is he helped me realize the error in what I was forecasting, and I ended up removing all of the data points surrounding Big Payday. That gives us a viable forecast. What do I mean? A somewhat viable forecast. What I mean is, if you look at what would be called the standard deviation, meaning how the data varies over time, right? So what I did was I took that variation, okay, and I forecasted it forward, right? Well, no, I didn't forecast it. I took Let me rephrase. I'm trying to be too blasé. So this variation measure that I'm talking about, I took it from the rate of change in the T-share rate. So what does that mean? It means that the variation in the T-share rate is such that it only moves but so much from day to day. Because I was recording, taking this data from day to day. Okay. So with that, we realize that we have a value that we can work with because the change is never going to be drastic, right? And the variation that I have here is almost zero. So that's important because that's telling me that I can take that rate of change that I'm getting from all of the data points that I'm using and use them in an average sense to forecast moving forward. And that's basically what I did. So that's how I got this T-share rate to 133,000 hex per T-share. And with that, how did I get that price? Well, what I did was the same thing for price, right? And as we all know, price has variation. It doesn't move in a straight line. And just for reference, we'll go back, right? We see it. Price wiggles around this line, which is the value proposition of hex, which is based on this determinant, the T rate, the T-share rate. That's what that is. Okay? So it's very important to understand that. And right now, we're literally right here. But the problem with this chart is that the numbers are so big, I can't show you right here on this chart because that's where it belongs. Because the margin won't scale accordingly because it goes up so high. This is how early you are in the system. This is what I want people to understand, right? Because there is variation in the numerical forecast for hex, of course, right? For the price, there has to be. There has to be. Shout out to Identity Block. Thank you for coming through, brother. Yeah, FOMO Pan should be posting because this shit is crazy. This shit is really, really crazy. And it might not be that far fetched, but you guys have to remember this is just a forecast. This is not real. So I explained how I came up with this, right? This is just a forecast. The reason this line moves like that is because this is a log base 2 function. So the rate of changes that we're going to get are going to be based on that over time, right? Because that's the nature. Oh, I'm sorry, it's a parabola. So it's going to take that because it's exponential, right? Over time, this is what we're getting. And this is the value that the proposition is. This is the proposition value. This is what's crazy, right? Yeah, whatever. That's funny. Oh man, Hex, you funny, bro. um, I'm just saying, this is just a forecast. I just want you to exponential. Just want you guys to know. Um, you know, this is real, right? This is how Hex is gonna move. But what we don't know is the velocity at which we will get there. That's what we don't know. But this is a good idea of what a stock to flow model could look for Hex. But you just have to remember you cannot really forecast that. And this is just what I wanted to talk about that. This is the goodie I wanted to give the community for tonight. And we'll just keep going. Now we'll talk about the expiring shares all time. And what I do now is I go through 3 points in time. And for this point in time, I'm doing the 23rd, the 29th, which you see across the top here, 3/29, March 29th, and this morning, 4/4/21. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go across time, right, with the cursor right here. Now, what I want you guys to see is how the stakes change over time in this duration, which is here short term, basically the next 6 to 8 months, right? These stakes are heavy in that time frame. So look at how the biggest stake, the one where the center line of my cursor is going horizontally, right? What's going to happen is that staking length is going to, or that staking quantity is going to increase and is going to penetrate that circle by the factor of 1/3, right? Like it's going to penetrate 1/3 of that circle. Very important. And now, poof, it's dissipated. So this is why the T-share rate is moving up in such an exponential fashion. And that's why this is just a forecast and it's off by 51 hex. This is why it's no good. It's not accurate, right? It's not precise. We have no precision here. This is just a good guide of what could be, right? Because this is how value is attached to hex. It's just how it works, right? When you sit there and think about the system and how it operates, this makes sense. But you also have to remember, this is so early that we don't really know what this is going to be. It could be something else, right? And I just want to harp on the beginning stakes because, of course, we can look out here along the curve, right? And we're going to see that the highlighted magnitudes, right, are going to be always present when there's a positive rate of change from one point in time to the next. And we're always going to see that. And you guys, you guys know I'm going to tweet the link for the YouTube with the charts after, and you guys can take a nice close look. But you'll see that there's always a positive rate of change on the long end of the curve, whether it be 14 or 15 years. And this wall right here, man, it's going to lit a fire under this price. Like, wow. And this is why, right, when we sit here and think about it, like 5,555 is right here. Basically. It's basically right here, this line, so to speak. So you can guesstimate that we'll get there when we reach like 100,000+ hex per T-share, which is insane. We can't imagine that now. I can't imagine that. I'm the guy doing this shit. I can't imagine that. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I think I'm wrong, but you don't know what's possible if you don't do any math. And that's just the reality of the situation. And I'm just the guy that's always done that. This is why, to me, this is nothing. I'm doing this whether I'm showing it to you guys or not. So, I just figured I'd share it with you guys and let you guys see what's potentially possible with this system given how it works. And the expiring shares that is the fuel, right? It's the fuel to the rocket that we have here. It's really what we have going on here. And I'll go back to the first chart at the end of this and explain what I really want you guys to understand with Hex and what I was saying from the start. I'm going to explain these logs. Very important. So what we're looking at now is the all-time Hex versus Ethereum correlation as of when I took this price at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And as we can see, the Hex returns along the zero axis is positively skewed to the right side. And what that means is if you look at each independent bucket of returns for Hex, whether they be positive or negative, the positive bucket is going to be much more fuller than the negative bucket. You can't say the same thing for Ethereum because that scaling, while it's wider, 60 to 40%, or it ranges 100%, the Hex range is 300%. So it's wider, right? But that's because the prices are smaller. So it's important we understand that scaling perspective. Because over time, that scaling that we're seeing in Hex is going to get smaller, just like it is for Ethereum. 100% versus 300%. That's a function of the volatility that you get from the convexity in the price based on the small decimals that we're dealing with right now. Very important to understand that. That's where the unit bias comes in. This is why you could buy a pizza with 20,000, 10,000, Bitcoin back in 2011, and you could no longer do that. That's a function of value and time. Very important we understand that. So Hex returns are positively skewed. When a professional looks at this, they're not going to have to guess anything. They're going to know where their money's going to go. It's a no-brainer. It's seriously a no-brainer. Same thing versus Bitcoin. Bitcoin might be the hot topic, but it's not the reality of anybody that's looking at it like a professional. Meaning, what is the system doing? Is it behaving well? What is it doing versus its competitors? Does it make sense from a statistical sense? And the answer there is yes. And these charts prove that. And that's the whole point of me showing these charts. So at that point, 100 hex per T-share, we don't know what the hex price would be, right? Yeah, we don't know. That's a good question. Impro, and that's the whole point. When we get to 100,000 hex per T-share, we don't know. We really won't know. We don't know if we'll get there in 10 years. We don't know if we'll get there in 15 years. And that's why people have to understand that, this is just all a forecast. It's not worth its weight. It's not worth anything. It's just important to be staked long and enjoy the benefits that we're going to get from being stake long. It's a no-brainer. There's nothing to do but just sit back and relax. Seriously, it's crazy. This is amazing. Now, this is the latest hot chart, payout per T-share chart. And as of the recording of this price, it was 1.93 cents. Right now, we're at 1.87 cents. So we're about 0.0006 cents off. Not much, so it wouldn't really change the chart. The payout per T-share would be the same, and it's at 11 cents per T-share as of tonight. The adjusted HEX is at 13 cents based on this price. So that is akin to the future value of HEX. And if you look back across time, we were at 1 cent a year ago, right? Just based on the payout per T-share. So that's, or not even a year ago, 10 months ago. So that's one way to look at this yellow line if you want. But the important thing to understand is that over time, we're going to surpass the rate of change of the T-share rate, right? Like the price of HEX is going to surpass that. And that's going to happen as soon as we cross the average duration. And right now that's 5.53. So as soon as this chart surpasses that point in time, 5.53, which I did the math earlier. Let me see, where is it? I guess not. 5.53 times 365 is 218 days, basically, or 2018 days. So somewhere around here, right when we cross 30,000 hex or so, it's possible that the hex price can really go crazy. Because now what's happening is that you need a whole lot more hex than you've ever needed just to get one T-share, right? Like it's going to flip the velocity of that price on its head. Because right now the T-shares are determinant. It's the value proposition. But what's going to ultimately happen is that hex is going to become so expensive based on the T-share rate that it's just going to keep going higher and higher and higher. And ultimately, HEX is going to have to take the lead. And that's when rates start going down, right? That's when the T-share rate has to then catch up to the price of HEX. And that's when we ultimately get the HEX PE to 1. That's how we get that HEX PE to 1, literally. I was thinking about it, and that's how it happens. When the T-share rate and the HEX rate are equivalent to 1, because the HEX payout, right? The price of HEX is always going to be 1 on this chart, because what you guys have to realize is when I'm doing the price to earnings, that's the dollar canceling out the dollar, right? So that's essentially the HEX, 1 HEX per T-share being paid out to you, right? So that's the HEX, price of HEX, which is 1, divided by the payout per T-share. So the T-share cancels out, right? So it's really just 1 divided by the HEX payout. This is the real price to earnings for HEX. You don't really have to sit there and look at the duration and all of that. That really doesn't matter, because the system is going to interact with you however you choose to interact with it. The critical aspect of understanding this is understanding that the system has value, right? That's the critical aspect, to understand that the system is always going to pay you out what the payout per T-share is, regardless. The only function that changes is your T-shares. And that's a function of how long you choose to stake, right? That doesn't really matter on the face of it. That's what's important to understand. Very critical. And that's why we're at 17%, super early, and all they got was 551%. Very important to understand that. So with that, this is a boon, right? This is nothing. This is a forecast, but this is something that gives us what the future is or could be, right? It's on us to decide what ultimately happens if we choose to be good actors within the system, right? Because this is what the system is going to do no matter what. It's designed to do that. The only question is, well, how fast and how high? And I only did this going out 500 the max, the 5,555 days. So this is all I did, right? We could literally do it for 2 cycles if we wanted, right? It doesn't really matter, because at the end of the day, adoption is the key to getting this bad boy to grow. Now, the last thing I want to explain to you guys is my latest version of helping you guys understand why staking long is important and why Hex is what it is. So now, we all know, I've always said from the start that Hex is a log-based 2 function. And everybody's always asked me, well, how can you tell that? Well, right now, I'm going to show you guys exactly how, because I did this the other day, and let's do it. All right, power. Okay, so we all know that a log-based 2 function is merely the inverse of the power function. And the power function is merely just a parabola. Okay, this is what this is saying, right? So when we take that and we invert it, logarithmic functions are, oh, it actually says it right here. I was actually going to Google it, but boom, there you go. In mathematics, the logarithm is the inverse function of the exponentiation. That means the logarithm of a given number is the exponent to which another fixed number, the base, must be raised to produce that number. So here we go to my favorite chart, right? Because this is what it's all about. It's all about this chart and nothing else, right? And Hex is log base 2, no matter how you cut it, right? And these are the values of log base 2, right? So when you look at the values, or those are the power values of 2, the values of log base 2, now get ready to get your head fucked up, because you guys know I specialize in that. Come on, internet. Today would be great. Did my internet just die? Seriously? You guys still there? Okay, let's try this again. The hell? Is my internet literally not working? What the fuck is going on here? Okay. And you guys are still writing. Okay, that web page just didn't want to write. All right, I'm getting it elsewhere. Amazing. All right, so I'm trying to find a table that gives us the log base 2 values, just so you guys can see. Because that's my whole objective. I just want you guys to see. And that's really all it is. I don't even want to have to do it. I just want you guys to see it. Like, because this is real. This is real life. And this is all I've been talking about since day one. I'm really trying to avoid having to do the graph, but I guess I'm going to have to. Yeah. Log base 2 values. Where are you? Give me a second, guys. This is being a pain in the ass. See, did I find it? Nope. Of course not. Anything but that. Ah. Oh. Damn it. Let me see. Log break. Nope. Of course, it starts at 10. Ugh, these motherfuckers are so. Ugh. People. See, this is why it's important to educate yourself, because when you rely on others, you're just gonna waste time, man. You're just gonna waste fucking time. Oh, Wolfram Alpha. Why is this just not working? What the hell is going on here? Okay. All right, guys. Whatever. We know what the inverse of this is. All right, it's just putting it 1 over. So you would literally take 1 over, 1 over 2, 1 over 4, 1 over 8, 1 over 16, 1 over n. Right? Like it would really be 1 over da da da, and that's what we see when we're looking at this. Right? This was what it ends up becoming when you put it on a chart. Right? So then now here you come to this chart. And damn, it sure as hell does look familiar, does it not? And this is the whole point. Oh, sorry, yeah, that's my computer. And this is the whole point of what I've been trying to say since day one. All you're doing when you're buying Hex and you're staking Hex is you're buying this rope. This rope, this function, this curve, whatever you want to call it, is going to always be the shape of Hex, no matter what. And right now, we're literally right here because we're at the start of it. And this is what people do not understand. Do not understand that. Because look at this. No matter what, Hex has always had this shape. No matter what. Right? Like it's obvious. It's always taken that shape. So as you guys see here on this line, on this chart, I've highlighted, I've detailed the power curves, because these trend lines didn't exist in Excel before. I just discovered these. So these are new. But now you can have a trend line that's curved based on the logarithmic curvature of that output. So this is the whole thing, right? I'm not telling Excel what it is. I'm telling it to give me the trend line of what it's putting out. So the output is clearly log base 2. Correct, Brennan. Log base, yeah, Hex at $2 is cheap. That's right. But the important thing to understand is no matter how long you hold Hex, you're always going to be at the end of this line, at the end of your investment. The only thing that changes is how long you're holding on to it, because this numbers over here are always going to be higher. But you're always going to be at the end of this line, at the end of that. The only thing that's going to change is how long you hold it and how much and how high this is going to be. Because at the end of the day, are we going to fiat or are we going to crypto? Right? That's the question. What I want you guys to see is that what I'm talking about when it comes to these functions is true. That's what I want you guys to see. And as you can tell, Ethereum seems to be log base E or log base 10. What is that? Looks like log base 10 almost. Maybe it's in between E and 10, but it's not E and it's not 10. It's in there somewhere. Anyways, and what I was gonna show? I was gonna show something on here. I don't remember anymore, but it's cool. The whole point that I want to get at is that the longer you hold on to this, the better off you are at the end of it. This is why staking long and hard matters. This is why staking long and hard matters, guys. So I just want to leave it here. I hope this makes sense, and I thank you guys for joining the stream. If you're new to Hex, check out the Staker app. I have a link in the show notes, income.watch. It'll take you right to it. It's a great way to watch your investment over time. Check out the Hex Telegram at t.me hex / Hex Crypto. There's a lot of Telegram chats in there. You can find me on Twitter at @WellsOnly1, and you can find me on Telegram at t.me/WellsOnly. I'm on YouTube also at WellsOnly. If you have any questions, any comments, any suggestions, drop them in the comments. Hit me up anywhere. I reply. I'm not special. I'm just a regular guy. I do work. So I do, take a little time to get back, but I do get back. I hope what I'm saying makes sense. I know this stuff can get very convoluted because there's a lot of topics into one. But the whole point is that this is ridiculously cheap. We're still supremely early. And this chart really details how early we are because we're really right here. And this is 15 years from now, what could be. This is crazy because this is really right now what we're looking at, right? This is the reality of right now for us. And we just got to make sure we don't get lost in the forest, right? Because this is the forest. When we sit up and look from above, this is the forest. So thank you guys for sitting with me through this 3 hours of this streaming. I appreciate you guys' time today. Thank you so much, and we'll end it here, guys. Thanks again.